You've been in the backrooms your whole life. You ever wake up at 3 a.m. for absolutely no reason? No noise, no bad dream. Just your eyes snapping open like something inside you pulled the emergency brake. And you're lying there in the dark, heart going a little too fast. And the room feels off. Not dangerous, not haunted, just wrong. Like the air shifted, like something moved the second before you opened your eyes. Most people write that off, roll over, go back to sleep. But here's what nobody tells you. That feeling has a name. It has a mechanism. And it is your brain doing something so specific, so calculated, that when I break it down for you today, it's going to change how you understand every anxious thought, every unexplained dread, every moment you've ever felt like something was wrong but couldn't tell anyone why. Today we're going deep into something called cognitive dread, and we're going to explore it through a place that the internet has been obsessed with for years, the backrooms. But real talk, we're not here for the monsters. We're here for something way scarier. We're here for what happens to the human mind when it has nothing left to hold on to. Stay with me. This one hits different. The fear your brain manufactures itself. Alright, before we get into the story, the real psychology, because this isn't made up. This is documented, studied, measured in actual labs. Cognitive dread is what happens when your brain anticipates something bad but can't identify what it is. Not fear of a specific thing, fear of the unnamed thing. The thing that hasn't happened yet but feels absolutely certain to happen. And here's what makes it genuinely terrifying. It doesn't need a real threat to activate. The brain manufactures it entirely from the inside. From silence. From stillness. From too much time alone with your own thoughts. Studies on sensory deprivation show that within hours, the average human brain starts producing its own input. Hallucinations. Voices. Faces in blank walls. Not because something supernatural is happening, but because your brain would rather invent a monster than sit with the emptiness. Your own mind, the thing that's supposed to protect you, will fabricate horror rather than face silence. That's the foundation of everything today, and nobody illustrates it better than the Backrooms. So let me tell you about Marcus. A regular guy in an irregular place. Marcus is 27, security guard, overnight shifts, quiet guy, observant. The type who notices everything but says nothing. He lost his mom 8 months ago, sudden cardiac arrest, totally out of nowhere. And he handled it the way he handles most things. He kept moving, kept showing up, head down, keep grinding. He never cried. Not once. Not at the hospital, not at the funeral, not after. His cousin asked if he was okay at the burial. Marcus said, "I'm good," and believed it. Or thought he did. Grief that doesn't come out doesn't disappear. It compresses, goes underground, and it waits. So one night, Marcus is doing his regular sweep of the 3rd floor. He knows this building, 11 months on the job, every hallway memorized. Regular Tuesday. Nothing unusual. He takes a wrong turn coming out of the stairwell and ends up in a corridor he doesn't recognize. Which is impossible. The hallway stretches further than it should. Pale yellow walls. Darker carpet. Lights humming a little louder than they should. He retraces his steps, goes back through the stairwell door. Same hallway. Same yellow walls. Same hum. He's in. When silence gets too loud. For the first hour Marcus is methodical. He's trained for weird situations. He checks doors, maps rooms mentally, stays calm. By hour 2, the cracks show. The backrooms aren't scary because of what's in them. They're scary because of what isn't. No windows, no exits, no other people, just that same yellow, that same hum. Room after room after room of absolutely new, and your brain cannot handle that. Neurologically, you're a pattern recognition machine running 24/7, constantly scanning for variation, for something to process. Take that away, and it doesn't power down gracefully, it panics. Quietly, deeply, and starts filling the void with things that aren't there. Marcus starts seeing it around hour 3, faces in the wallpaper pattern, not obvious ones, just the suggestion. An eye here, the curve of a jaw there. Every time he looks directly at it, it's gone. The second he looks away, it's back. This is pareidolia, your brain's pattern recognition going haywire in a void, finding faces in random noise because faces are the most important pattern it's ever learned to read. Completely documented. completely real. Happens to people in isolation tanks, in solitary confinement, in sensory deprivation studies. Then comes the sound. Somewhere down the hall. Faint, but unmistakable. His mom's voice. Not screaming, not scary, just her. The way she used to call him for dinner when he was a kid. Warm, specific, real. Marcus, honey, in here, now. Logically, he knows. He was at her funeral. He carried the casket. He knows she's gone.
But he runs toward the voice anyway. 3 hallways, 4 turns. A room with a door slightly ajar. Empty. That right there. That's auditory pareidolia combined with what psychologists call hypervigilance searching. His brain, starved of real input and loaded with compressed grief, went looking for the most meaningful signal it could manufacture. The voice of the person he lost. The person he never actually let himself grieve. The Backrooms didn't conjure his mom. His own mind did. And that is so much lonelier than any ghost story. The loop with no exit. Hour 5. Marcus has stopped trying to map the place. He's just walking. Fast. Then, faster. Then almost running, because moving feels better than standing still, and standing still means the hum gets louder and the wallpaper faces get more defined and the silence between footsteps stretches out like something's about to fill it. This is the cognitive dread fully activated, and I need you to understand what this actually is, because it's not just a horror story mechanic. It's a real psychological state that millions of people experience every single day without having a name for it. Cognitive dread is your brain running threat simulations in the absence of real threats. It's anxiety's uglier, quieter cousin. It's the 3 a.m. feeling. The sudden heaviness on a Sunday evening when the week hasn't even started yet. The sense that something is wrong that you can't pin down, can't explain, can't argue yourself out of. And what feeds it? Running from it. The more you avoid the feeling, the bigger the room gets. Marcus hits a door he swears he hasn't seen before. Different handle, different feel. His whole body says, this is it. This is the exit. His hand is shaking when he grabs it. He opens it. Yellow walls, fluorescent hum, damp carpet, and something in him just breaks. Not dramatically. He doesn't scream. He just stands there and feels the specific, crushing hopelessness of someone who realizes, all the way down, that they've been running in circles. Not just in the backrooms. In his life. Same avoidance. Same numbness. Same, I'm fine, to everyone who asks. The backrooms aren't a random nightmare, they're a mirror. And what they're reflecting is 8 months of grief he locked in a room and threw away the key. The moment it all cracks open, Marcus slides down the wall and sits on that damp carpet. Done running. Done searching. He puts his head in his hands. And the hum gets quieter. Not gone, just less. Like the room itself exhaled. He stays like that for a long time. And in the silence, the real silence, not the threatening kind, he starts thinking about his mom. Not the hospital, not the funeral, the actual her. The woman who used to leave sticky notes in his lunch even when he was a teenager and thought it was embarrassing. The woman who called every Sunday and always started the conversation with, "So tell me something good." He never told her how much those calls meant. He figured there'd be more of them. There's this concept in psychology, Jungian shadow work. The idea that the parts of ourselves we refuse to look at don't disappear. They go into the dark. And from the dark, they run the show. They shape your behavior, your fears, your patterns, all without your permission. Because you never gave them the one thing that would set them free. Acknowledgement. Marcus is sitting on the floor of an impossible room, and for the first time in 8 months, he cries. Not the polite kind. The ugly, chest-heaving, can't catch your breath kind that he'd been storing since the moment he got the phone call and told himself to hold it together. He says out loud, to nobody, "I miss you, Ma. I wasn't ready. I'm still not ready." And the room changes. Not dramatically. No magical portal opens up. But the walls feel less close. The hum drops to almost nothing. And at the far end of the corridor, a door. Ordinary. Slightly familiar. He gets up. Walks toward it. Opens it. 3rd floor. Office building. His building. 4:47 a.m. on the clock. What actually unlocks the exit? Now here's the thing I want you to sit with. The exit didn't appear because Marcus figured out a map. It didn't appear because he found the right door or ran fast enough or outsmarted the place. It appeared because he stopped. He stopped running from the thing he'd been running from. And the second he stopped, the second he actually felt the grief instead of outpacing it, the backroom lost its power over him. Because the backrooms, as a concept, as a psychological metaphor, represent exactly one thing: the internal space we create when we refuse to process pain. Every room is another layer of avoidance. Every identical hallway is another day of I'm fine when you're not. The exit was never locked. You were just too busy running to turn around and look for it. Marcus called his cousin the next morning. First time he'd initiated a real conversation since the funeral. He started therapy 3 weeks later. He still works the overnight shift, but he listens to his mom's old voicemails on his break now instead of pretending they don't exist. Small things, real things. That's what the way out looks like. Your backroom has an exit too. Real talk, I didn't tell you this story to creep you out. Although yeah, it's pretty creepy. I told you this because a lot of us are low-key living in our own backrooms right now. You don't need an impossible hallway for cognitive dread to run your life. It runs through your life every time you pick up your phone to kill 30 seconds of silence. Every time you say, I'm tired, when you mean, I'm hurting. Every time you grind harder instead of sitting still long enough to feel the thing underneath all that grinding. Your brain will build you a backroom, no question. It's what brains do when the weight gets too heavy to carry consciously. It creates loops. Manufactures dread from nothing because even fake dread feels more manageable than the real grief underneath it. But here's what I need you to actually hear today. The hum gets quieter the second you sit down. You don't have to fight the room. You don't have to map it or outrun it. Just stop moving long enough to feel the thing you've been running from. That's the whole unlock. Grief doesn't make you weak, running from it does. Because running takes everything you've got every single day and never actually gets you anywhere. Sitting with it, feeling it for real, even once, that's not weakness. That's the most gutsy thing a person can do. So next time you feel that 3 a.m. thing, that unnamed dread, that heavy wrongness with no source, don't roll over and bury it. Ask it what it's trying to say. It's been knocking for a long time, and it just wants to be heard. That's what we've got today. If this hit close, if you recognized your own backroom in Marcus's story, drop it in the comments. No cap, I read every single one. Share this with someone who's been running for a while. Sometimes people need to hear it from somewhere outside their own head. Like if you want more psychological horror meets real human truth, subscribe and hit the bell. We're just getting started, and every video goes deeper. Take care of your minds out there. Catch you in the next one. Peace.